So, how are we feeling right now? I would imagine broken, hurt, helpless, hopeless. I was thinking all of us have had, aside from and before this global and national incident with these terrible race relations, we've all had brokenness in our lives, broken relationships, broken bones, broken bank accounts, broken in our bodies. We've all faced impossible situations. And I was wondering, how many of our situations, how many of the terrible race relation and other things that are going on, how many of those things have caught God by surprise? I would venture to say none. I really believe that God is always aware, that God is always there, and that God always cares. So I said, well, how can we figure out what to do? Some people say protest, and some people say pray, and some people say shoot people, and some people say, don't spend money here and don't spend money there. I don't know about any of that. All I know is I went to the source that I consider, no matter what, immutable, undisputable, indisputable, the source that will never ever change. And in that source, the directive is to rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I'll say rejoice. Let your gentleness be made known to all men, for the Lord is at hand. We are commanded to be anxious for nothing. Anxious means worried, overly concerned, fretful. That's what anxious means. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything. Not in some things, not in things regarding your relationship or what to wear. In everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving. With thanksgiving, that's tough. Let your requests be made known to God. That's what we're supposed to do. And then what'll happen? And the peace of God that surpasses all understanding, that means we can't comprehend it. It will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. I believe that's what we are called to do. Now, that's a challenge for you. That's a challenge for me. Well, how am I supposed to think? What am I supposed to do? I'm glad you asked that. Finally, brothers, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, pure, lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there is any virtue, if there is anything worthy of praise, think on these things. I believe that it had to look mighty impossible when Moses brought the children of Israel out of Egypt. They had Pharaoh behind them. They had a Red Sea in front of them. It's impossible. Oh, but God. I believe it was mighty impossible when Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego would not bow down to King Nebuchadnezzar, and they were thrown in a fiery furnace. Should have been burned up immediately. Not only were they not burned up, the God who is not caught by surprise, okay, in the pit with them. It had to be impossible. It had to be impossible. A man is dead. A man is dead. God, if you had only been here sooner, my brother wouldn't have died. But yet Jesus raised him from the dead. And then 3 days after death on the cross, 3 days in a tomb, Jesus died. So how many of those situations were any more impossible than the state in which we find ourselves right now? I would say none of them. So I submit to you, dear beloved, I submit to you that we have our marching orders. We have our marching orders. We know how to think. We've been told how to think. We've been told what to do, to rejoice, even yet, even still, even now. Rejoice in the Lord and submit our petitions to Him. He will guard our hearts and minds. And if we trust in the Lord and not in our own understanding, He'll direct our paths. Try it. I'm going to do that. And I hope you do too. I sure love you.